Hi everyone, I wanted to do a quick video to show you how to find your measurements for Ruby Ribbon. If you have never measured yourself before and you don't know how to do it, don't be embarrassed. You are not alone. Most of us have never had a reason to find our measurements, which is why I'm doing this video. So I'm going to really quickly show you how to find the 4 measurements that you're going to need, and then you'll be a pro at it. So the first thing you're going to need is a fabric tape measure. Now, if you don't have a fabric tape measure, they are just a few dollars off of Amazon. But if you're thinking, Jamie, I'm only going to measure myself once and then I'm never going to need a fabric tape measure ever again, don't spend the money, just use an alternative solution, such as floss, a rope, a small charging cable. Really, if it can wrap around you, use it. Be creative. Now, the only caveat with not using a fabric tape measure and using an alternative solution is that when you wrap it around, you're going to need to use one of your fingers to mark where the two ends met each other, so that when you release that, you can then lay it up next to a traditional tape measure, like a hard tape measure, so that you can get your size. So that's the only caveat with using an alternative solution. But I'm using a fabric tape measure. You're going to want to be in inches. That's just kind of the simplest way to figure out your measurements. So I am right-handed, so I kind of like to use that to wrap it around me. I use my left hand steady. So on the smallest side, so where we start at 1 inch, I hold that in my left hand, and then with my right hand, I wrap it around. Now, this is for your bust measurement. So for your bust measurement, you're gonna want to wrap your tape measure or your alternative material around the fullest part of your breast. So mine is gonna be right there. That's the fullest part of my breast. Now, it's important to remember that when you wrap it around, you don't wanna cinch, right? If you cinch, you're not gonna get the right measurement, and you also don't want it to be too loose. So you want the material to be parallel to the floor, nice and taut, but not cinching. And then you just kind of see where the two overlap, so where the end meets this other end, and then that is your measurement of your bust. For your band, as you might expect, that's where your band sits for your bras or any other undergarments. So that's going to be the same thing, where you wrap it around, and it's going to be right under your bust. So kind of at the top of your rib cage, underneath your bust, that's your band measurement. Now, there's 2 more that you need for Ruby Ribbon. So you need your hip measurement. So your hip, like your bust measurement, is at the widest part of your hip. Again, keeping the material parallel to the floor. You want it to be taut, but not cinching, not too loose. You're gonna take it, wrap it around, and where the 2 ends meet, that is your that is your hip measurement. Now, for your waist measurement, that's a little bit trickier, but essentially think about where do the top of your pants kind of hit. So it's gonna be at the end of your rib cage, so the space between the end of your rib cage and the top of your hip. So really, it's kind of this space right in here, right? So where your hip measurement is at the widest part of your hip, your waist measurement is kind of at the smallest part of your waist. So this place right here. So here's the end of my rib cage, here's the top of my hip, this is my waist measurement. Now, for Ruby Ribbon, the waist measurement isn't quite as important as the hip measurement, but I always like to go ahead and take that so that if I'm looking at the bottoms, I just really know that I've got the right fit. Really, more than anything, you need your hip measurement, whether you're gonna do a cami or you're gonna do bottoms, because if you're gonna get a cami, it's gonna come down to your hips. And some of our camis are cut a little bit differently. So depending on what your max hip measurement is, will depend on whether that's gonna be a good fit for you or not. So remember, bust, band, waist, hip. If you have any questions, please feel free to comment on this video. Let me know if this worked for you. I would be happy to help you in any way that I can. Thanks, y'all. Have a great day.